G'day, it's Paul again here. I'm coming to you for my second fishing trip of the new Murray cod season. Last week I was fortunate enough to get onto a few cod at Lauriston Reservoir. So today I've come to another one of my favourite central Victorian cod fisheries. So the location is Upper Cod Reservoir. Like Lauriston Reservoir, I wouldn't say it's a renowned cod fishery, but it's certainly a place close to home where I've caught plenty of cod over the years, and that's the aim today, to get out and, as always, do a fair bit of trolling with hard body lures, but also casting a spinnerbait a bit, and hopefully I'll get onto a cod or two, but I certainly wouldn't say no to some yellow belly or even decent size redfin. So starting off with purple stump jumper on one side, and the Duo Realis crank on the other side. Even though it's really close to Lauriston Reservoir, they're only separated by a few kilometres of the Colaban River. Much different place to fish. Structure's a lot different, a lot more rockier structure as opposed to weed beds. And typically that means too that sometimes different lures work here. Deeper diving stump jumpers, for example, around some of the deep rocky drop-offs are more successful here, in my experience, than at Lauriston Reservoir, where shallower diving cranks in around the weed beds seem to bring me more success. I'm going to go a bit earlier on the casting today. I normally like to troll for a while, but I've got this spinnerbait here and I'm going to give it a troll against this cliff face here. The reason being is that I was only trolling for less than 5 minutes and I got a really good hit on the stump jumper. Came back a few times, no interest, but I just wonder whether the fish might be interested in this spinnerbait. I'm going to give it a try for a few casts. All right, got a good fish on the Duo. Haven't been going that long. Something has just hit it hard along this cliff face here. I'm not feeling much now. There's still a fish on, but it hit really hard to begin with. And it's a cod, and it's very docile. And it's crossing down the line now. I wouldn't say it's really well hooked, which is a bit of a worry. Got it. Yeah, that's a good start. Oh, there we go. First fish after a fairly short time, only about 20-25 minutes. Bit of a tangle in the other trolling line, but that happens sometimes when these cod drag you around. I'll get it untangled and let's have a look at it. Well, that was the aim today, to get onto an Upper Cod cod, first one for the season, and I've done it early, so that's fantastic. I'm wrapped with that. We'll get this fish back, and it'd be nice to get onto maybe a few more. There he is. Beautiful Murray cod. Off it goes. All right, now to get untangled. Well, that took a long time to get that tangled mess of the cross lines sorted out. It involved re-rigging one of the rods in a pretty awkward spot, which is always frustrating. When you catch a fish, the first thing you want to do is get the lure back out in the water again. But I'm ready now. For those who haven't seen me use these lures before, I use them a lot. Duo Realis M65 crank. Fantastic little lure, and it's accounted for another cod. And a shout out to Archie, who just came along then as I was finishing the untangling and introduced himself and said that he's been watching the videos. So shout out to you, Archie, if you're watching this one. Okay, really good fish on again. And guess what? It's the Duo. It really ripped at that. The rod nearly ripped it out of the rod holder. I would be very surprised if this wasn't a cod, and it certainly feels like it hit a lot harder than the last one, so which I reckon was probably about 55 centimetres. I've nearly got it there. Oh yeah, it's a good size cod. Oh wow. That is a big cod. Again, it's across the trolling line, but I'm not too worried about that. I didn't measure the last one, but I'll get a measurement on this. This is a big fat fish. And again, you know, it's kind of on that tiny 65mm crankbait. Well, not tiny, but relatively small for a fish of this size. Well, there we go. That is a big cod. I'm struggling to get into the frame of the picture. I said I'll get a measurement on it. I'll see how we go. It's not easy to handle here in the kayak. It's been thrashing around. I'll quickly see if I can get a measurement, but if not, we'll get this beautiful fish back in the water. 70 centimetres it measured. Nice cod. All right, we'll see you later, buddy. You can see a good bite mark in the duo there, and missing the front treble too, which came off. I've got the treble. It's a bit bent. Not sure about the split ring, but I've got another few of these, so I'll tie another one on. Again, that took a fair while to untangle the lines. Not as bad as last time, but even just to get that fish out and the lure out. So I've been out on the water 2 hours, but you know what? I reckon I've only had the lures in the water for probably about less than half that time. I also got a double snag back there and lost one of my lures and had to re-rig the line. But there's a couple of hours of light left, so hopefully things go a bit smoother from here in terms of line management and the fish continue to bite. Okay, on the move again. One thing that I didn't mention was as that fish was thrashing about, it did knock my sunglasses overboard. Thankfully they were a cheap pair of sunglasses, so it wasn't a great loss. But it was almost exactly the same spot where I lost my first DJI camera back in April, which I mentioned in one of my earlier videos. So, yeah, not a great stretch of water for me. A couple of my belongings sitting at the bottom of that water there. I think I've got a fish on. It was an unusual bite. It feels like a dead weight, but I don't know what. Yeah, no, there is a fish on. It's on the duo again. It didn't hit hard, it just slowly pulled the kayak around. Unlike particularly that last cod bite, but it feels like a big fish now that I'm getting it closer. I think I've got another cod here. It's almost at the surface. And it's pulling down hard and pulling the kayak around. I actually think it's a good size yellow belly. Haven't we got a view of it? Yep, that's a nice yellow belly. Oh, there it is. Again, it's on the duo. Get that fish out. We might give it a quick measure and get it back. Again, it's taken a little bit of work to get that fish out of the net, but there it is, a lovely golden coloured yellow belly. Like a few of the yellow belly I've been catching lately, I couldn't quite hold that one long enough to get some decent release footage, but I guess that means it's healthy and keen to get back in the water. Let's keep moving on. That fish went 46 centimetres, which is bigger than the ones I've typically been getting, mainly at a lot of yellow belly at Kayak this spring and one or two at Lauriston. They're typically been about 40 centimetres, one about that size at Kayak the start of spring, but good to get onto a good size one again. The water is like glass. It's a beautiful summer's evening. It's been a while, but we're on again, and it's a different lure. It's a one well sumo, which I've never caught a fish on before. Not in this colour anyway. It's a green and yellow one. Alright, what do we got? I'm thinking another cod, but certainly doesn't feel as big as the last one. Oh no, it's a yellow belly. There we go, yellow belly on the Sumo. Always good to catch fish on a new lure. There's the yellow belly on the one well Sumo. I've only ever caught one other fish on one of those lures, and it was a different colour, as I said, first one on this colour, but caught one on pink one well Sumo, which I think I've snagged and lost, but it was almost in this identical spot here. Yellow belly number 2. Okay, see you, yellow belly. I've spoken a lot in these videos about the one well lunch lures and I've got quite a few catches on them, but this is the one well Sumo, so it's a different profile to the lunch. But yeah, really nice lure that I'm keen to give more of a run this summer. I reckon I can catch more fish on these, so that's certainly a good start. Time for some more casting along here, I think. I've got another really good fish on. Now, I've even lost track of what lure this is. It's the Scamp, which I've just done a video about. I'm thinking this is a cod again. If it's a yellow belly, I'm thinking it's bigger than the ones that, the last one that I got. Yeah, it feels very cod-like. Yeah, I can just see it. It's a big swirl. Couldn't see what sort of fish, but I can see the size and definitely a cod and a big one too. Oh, whoa, that had trouble fitting in the net. Cod number 3 on the Scamp. Let's get it in the kayak and have a look at it. All right, let's have a look at this big fish. It's gone low 70s. Not easy to show the full fish, but it's a big collar-bone cod. So I just published a video about these 13 fishing scamps last night called another hot lure tip. I'd had some good success on them in a pretty limited amount of time a few weeks ago, so I predicted they're going to be a good lure, and yeah, well, that one got me the result really quickly today after just putting on it at the end of the night. I didn't think there was much left in this trip, so I thought I'd give it a bit of a go in some shallower areas, which is, I think, the strength of these shallow diving cranks, and it's managed to get me a beautiful fish. So I'm about 15 minutes away from the car at a slow troll, so that's what I'll do. I'll slowly troll back, and after that late bit of action, who knows? There might be another fish or two left in this trip. Well, that's it. No more catches, but yeah, I'm really wrapped with that trip to get onto a few more cod in just the second trip of the season, and some good size ones too. And it's fantastic to see that some of these central Victorian impoundments that haven't been stocked with cod for long are really developing into good cod fisheries, and the fish are doing well. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you're not already. Thanks again, and I look forward to bringing you something again really soon.